Hello everybody, it's Anne from Anne's Stampin' Up. We have a nice new technique to learn today. It's called the Emboss Resist technique, and basically this is the card we're going to make. We're going to just change up the colours a little bit. The white part you see is heat embossed, and you wipe your colour all over the card, and when you wipe the colour off, the white becomes the focal point. It stands right out. So let's get started. I'm going to turn right. So the stamp sets we're going to use are Ornate Style. It's a stamp set I don't use very often, but it has a lovely large image there. So that's Ornate Style. And there's also a companion set, if you will, called Ornate Thanks. The card itself is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. And we have a mat which is 5 1/4 by 4, and this is Blackberry Bliss. And then I have a white mat which is 5 1/4 by 4 again, but I left it that size because I'm going to trim it down when I'm finished to 5 by 3 3/4. We've got scraps for the sentiment. Okay, we need some ink, we need some Versamark. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take the embossing buddy and run it over the card. This is to get rid of any static on the card. This is for your embossing. And that is just a little powder filled pouch that, just as I say, takes the static off your card. We're then going to take the Versamark pad and the large stamp from the stamp set, and it's easier when you have a large stamp to put it face down and stamp your pad all over it, rather than you trying to make sure you've got ink all over the pad. Just close that up. I'm just going to stamp this right in the middle of my paper, and remember that it doesn't have to be exact because I'm going to trim it when I'm finished. So there. Now, you can't see very much of it, but if you sort of catch the light, you can see can you see little bits of the pattern in there? I'm not sure. So the next thing we're going to do is take a piece of scrap paper, pick this up carefully. We're going to use clear embossing powder. And the reason we're doing it on scrap paper is so that when we're finished we can fold the scrap paper and just tip it all right back into the jar. Because as you can see, I'm not being particularly careful here. I'm putting a lot of powder on. And I want to make sure I've got everything covered nicely. And get right to the ends of the points on the leaves and everything. That looks good. Alright, so now the trick is, before you turn the heat gun on, you remember to pour all this back into the jar. And put the lid on the jar. Just set that over there. I'm going to bring in my heat gun for a minute so there'll be a bit of noise. And I have a little board here that I like to use. And what I'm going to do is pin my card to the board so that I don't burn my fingers, because you have to heat this for quite a while. Let's see, can we show you? So you need to keep your heat gun moving all the time. Don't let it sit too long in one spot, because you will burn your cardstock and you will burn the embossing. But you have to keep going on this until the white part turns from dull to shiny. Go over it one last time just to make sure, and then turn off the noise. So I think that looks pretty good. We're going to go with it. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take this piece. I'm just going to use the blending brushes. So first of all, we're going to colour the centre of the flowers. Now we're not going to, as you can see in this card, we're not going to be terribly careful. We're just going to swirl the colour around, but we don't want the leaves to end up pink, so we're going to swirl the colour around. We're going to use Fresh Freesia, which is one of the new in colours. And I know you're always supposed to, when you're colouring, you come off your scrap paper onto the edge of your card, but in this case I can't do that because I want to, I'm colouring in the centre. And always keep your brush moving, okay? And remember, you can always add more colour, but you can't take colour away. Now I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to use Soft Succulent for the leaves. So here we go with the Soft Succulent. Now the Soft Succulent, you can come in from the edge. And remember, we're going to trim the edge as well. And just making sure I've got colour all over my card. So basically that's the front of my card. So I'm now going to trim it to 5 by 3 3/4. And the reason I left it big is because if you can see here, there's like kind of like a line where I sort of moved the card and brought it up. So I'm going to trim 1/8 of an inch of all 4 sides. So there's one there. So that's 1/8 of an inch off each side. It tidies up the edges, but it also takes away the harsh line, if you will, where the card, where the brush came onto the card, right? So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Kleenex and I'm going to rub it all over the card. And it's not bringing off a lot of colour, which is good, but it does take the colour off the white parts. Can go in the garbage. So then basically all we're going to do is mount this onto here, and you see it's got a nice 1/8 of an inch around right now. And I'm going to try and use my stamp and seal. Move that out of the way. Stick that down nicely. It's going to go on the front of this plain white card here. And before I stick that down, before I put that on the card, just in case I make a mess with my stamping, I'm going to stamp the sentiment in the middle of, on the inside of the card, everything. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment in Blackberry Bliss, which is my dark colour. And I just gently So we'll just pop that to one side. We'll take the scrap we have and we're going to stamp thanks. Yeah, so let's close this up, get it out of the way, and we're just going to clean it out. So we're just going to take this piece and mount it on a piece like this onto the Blackberry Bliss. I'll just glue that down. Oops. Okay, so here's the card front, and this is the part we stamped inside. Make sure we've got it going the right way up. Got some silver thread here. We can, oh yeah, that might work. I think we'll just make a little bow out of that. There. Hold that up just so it's not off the bottom of the card. There you have it, one lovely little card. Used the Ornate Style and Ornate Thanks set and was Heat, Emboss, Resist. That was one. This was the other one. There. I think we could use a few gems on this one. These are the 2021-23 in colour gems. They match the Fresh Freesia ink pad that we used. So I just added 3 little gems, and I think it just adds the finishing touch. So as usual, case this card if you would like to. But of course, you know, say give credit where credit is due, where you saw the card made. And if you're going to sell this card, please use the Stamping Up Angel stamp, which just says all the supplies are stamping up. Alright, thanks for watching everybody, and I will talk to you all later. Hope to see you all soon in person. Bye.